Quiet session.
Okay, so that's a live going. There we go. There's Nikki.
Vicky's gonna try and get on in reception.
Yeah. Hey, Nikki.
Hello, testing, testing.
Oh, there we go. There, I can hear you nicely, Tony. Hey, Nikki, how are you?
All right, and you?
I'm good.
Mm.
There's David Wright. Can you still hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, spot on.
Good. There we go. Here's Gwen. Multi-speaker view. Morning, Gwen.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello, David. Hello,
Hi.
Nikki. Hello, David. Hello, Tony.
Hi, Gwen. How are you?
All right, thank you.
Good
Good.
morning, everybody.
Tony.
Hi.
Hello,
Hi.
hello, hello.
How are you, David?
I'm good, thanks. Good.
Good.
I'm doing my training up in Middlesbrough. So I'm just going to check in the container and then hand over. Tony, how's it going?
Yes, very good. We've just been speaking today about the meeting agenda and stuff like that. We're coming up with our own template around the meeting contract
Yes,
in the manual.
the coaching contract.
Yeah, we are using that as a guide and creating our own template, and
Wonderful.
we're hoping
Wonderful.
we're hoping to get set up in December, end of December with clients. So it's looking good, looking really good.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Do you want to build the container this morning?
No, not really.
All right.
I'm quite bad with the technology side.
Well, not really. All you've got to do is say, all right, let's check in.
I'm quite camera shy.
Oh, you're doing fine.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll hand over to Nikki. You build the container, Nikki.
Okay. Sure. Okay. Well, what's the first thing that we do? Yeah. Shall we do a check-in? Should we do a deep check-in today? A pies check-in.
Oh,
Sounds
fuck.
You know what a pies check-in is, Tony?
Oh, no.
Does it involve eating pie?
No, unfortunately.
No, I've no idea. No.
Okay. Well, a pies check-in is physical, intellectual, emotional, spiritual, and social. So, David, do you want to model that for us?
Sure. All right. So, David, check in. Can you hear me? Oh, which David?
I know, I forgot.
I'll go first. I'll go first. So
Okay.
physically, I'm doing all right, I think. Um, uh, yeah, I'm doing okay. Not brilliant, but I'm doing all right. Emotionally, I'm in quite a good space at the moment. I'm feeling positive and not too anxious. Excited to be building the container here. Intellectually, I'm challenged always, like trying to build these environments. There's a new IT system that we're working on in the background. It's really nice to see Tony coming here and Project Six kind of developing their own systems. And spiritually, it feels like I'm living a life of kind of meaning and purpose in the sense of like, I'm making a difference in the world. So I check in like that. I'll tag the other David.
Thanks, David. Morning, everybody. David, I am checking in. Physically, I am feeling good. Something that I feel like I'd like to mention is that, I've got a lot of trapped trauma energy in my back, and I've been doing some breath work under the instruction of a mentor of sorts who advised to just kind of do it twice a month. I did one recently a few days ago, and it's kind of loosened my back. But I stick with my self-care practices, which are really important, because without that, I think I would be completely and utterly overwhelmed. We'll get to the emotional part now. So physically, I'm doing well. Intellectually, I think I'm doing okay. There's never a shortness of the opportunity to be creative. However, I haven't had the chance to focus on any sort of creativity, but I feel like that might come in the near future. Intellectually, I'm okay. Emotionally, I'm feeling overwhelmed. I'm under enormous financial pressure, and I'm trying to see the right way forward and using the support structures that I have, but often I need to bring it back to myself and kind of say, take responsibility. So I feel like I'm continuously being tested. And while I'm okay with that, it doesn't take away from the overwhelm. So yeah, emotionally, I'm overwhelmed, but that kind of comes and goes. And I've just got to try and think about what the next right thing is to do with respect to the various facets. But my financial circumstances are tough, and the uncertainty around where I may or may not end up, depending on the decisions other people make. But all I can do is put a forecast down, make some assumptions, and that's the action, and then surrender the outcome. So I've got that to fall back on, and which I'm going to use. That's emotionally. Spiritually, I'm feeling supported. I feel supported by the universe. And I'm at a level of my own conscious development where I might be under enormous pressure, but somehow I'm just able to find a way to trust in the process and to continue going. So that's me spiritually. Socially, well, I get to drive every day, so I get to connect with individuals in my car, which is great. And that to me is a social in and of itself. I actually really enjoy that connection. I have a friend in the neighborhood, but maybe I could be doing a little bit better on the social front in terms of planning things with other people. I have been doing it, but it's always with the same friend. Maybe I need to make a little bit more effort on that front. So yeah, that's me in. And I tag.
Great.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna jump in here quickly because I'm going to jump out. But Charlie's arrived. He's assisting me up here, so he's going to be sitting in with the container with you guys this morning. So I don't know. Have you met Charlie before, Nikki?
I think he was on a community. Yeah, you were on the community. Yeah.
All right. Okay. So I'll see you guys later. Thank you, Charlie.
Okay.
And Gwen, I'll phone you later, love.
Thank you. Thanks, David. Enjoy.
Bye.
Enjoy.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay, Tony, would you like to do a pause check-in?
Yes, I'm feeling up to here at the moment. I've just had an hour and a half drive to get here. And then when I finally got to Middlesbrough town centre, I was going round and round and round and round. So my anxiety was going up and up and up. And one of the things I still hate being late. It's one of my and the more I was creeping to 10 o'clock, the more my anxiety was going up. But I'm feeling good actually. I'm feeling good to be on this call. Thanks, Nikki.
Okay. Do you know what a pies check-in is, David? David D or C? David C. Oh, we've got two David C's on. Do you know what a pies check-in is?
Are you talking to me, Nikki?
Charlie.
Yes.
It's Charlie. Yeah.
It's about Charlie, Nikki. No.
Oh, Charlie. Oh, gosh. Okay. Sorry. I got confused there. Charlie.
David
Sorry,
Collins'
Charlie.
thing.
Yeah. Do you know what a pies check-in is?
No.
Okay. So it's a what do you call it? What would you call that? A synonym? No? It's an
acronym.
abbreviation acronym. Thanks, Gwen. An acronym for physically, intellectually, emotionally, spiritually, and socially.
Oh.
So that's a deep check-in that we do with our clients sometimes.
Right.
So would you like to just check in with those?
Could I have one of those acronyms again, and just so I can write it down? I'm sorry, Nikki.
Sure. It's called PIES. PIESS.
Yep. And it stands for?
And P is the physical.
Yep.
I is the intellectual.
Yep.
E is the emotional.
Yep.
S is the spiritual.
Okay.
And the other S is the social.
Social.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That is a check-in, isn't it? Wow. 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 So my physical, I'm doing really well. I come from a background where I have lived in the gym my whole life, practically. Kind of trained to be a bodybuilder, but never really got to that sort of level, even though most of my friends are bodybuilders. And then when I got sober around about over 2 years ago now, the physical aspect kind of did this, and it all gelled more. And then I started my own well-being group. And then I started my own nutrition and physical health and all this stuff. So that's what I do in my other life, actually. So my physical aspect and my food-wise and all this stuff, I'm always really good with that stuff. I'm probably really but 95% in that stuff. Intellectually, I feel as if this process of actually getting sober is more than sober now. It's a freedom, and what that's actually did is I've kind of I'm in this process of relearning where for my whole life I found learning very, very difficult. I couldn't keep information in. I couldn't read a book. I was distracted. And then the last couple of years with getting sober, the relearning has been an intellectual challenge, but it's one that I absolutely love. Do you know, in this different paths to recovery that I'm finding at the moment, it was only I only knew AA, and now meeting David and all this here has opened up my learning, and that has then increased my intellectually capacity. So intellectually,
I'm relearning and I'm loving it actually. I'm someone who's been 48 and has just started to learn again. I'm finding it ever so exciting. Emotionally, I'm doing really well. What I find is that my worst days in recovery is better than my best days in the madness. So emotionally, I can handle whatever is thrown at me. I don't really have any big dramas in my life anymore. I don't have chaos in my life anymore. I don't have any of that sort of stuff. And I can normally see what's round the corner. So I normally dip out if I can see if I can see stuff that Disney align with me. I jump out of it, man, now. Whereas previously, like, I didn't realize I chased chaos. I was the chaos. And I chased it. So emotionally today, but emotionally, I, I put that down to being very spiritually well, and that comes from my meditation every day. Meditation in my life is absolutely paramount, and I do that every morning. Spiritually, I can't even tell you where I am. There's no words to describe where I am spiritually. I start my morning every morning. I live on the beach. I moved out of society and I now live on the beach in a caravan. And I go a walk. I go a walk on this beach every single morning. So I do my meditation, which I'm up to 22 minutes. I started at 3 minutes and 22, and I'm up to 22 minutes now. So when I go walk on the beach, I do my meditation, I go for a hot and cold shower, and then I go to the gym every morning. And and then that takes about 3 hours, and then that means I can give myself away to everybody else. So as long as I have that, and that's why, man, I get up at 5 o'clock every morning because I need my part of the day. And socially, I never really had a social life outside the pub and outside the madness of chaos. And what I found is that the more that I've immersed myself in recovery, the more that someone told me this once. You come across my barcodes, and your barcode may match another barcode, and you get on. And another time, your barcode may not match another barcode, and that's fine. So when my barcode meets my people socially, kind of hang on to them. And so, today I don't have a lot of friends, but I've got quality, man, in friendship, and that's what I really, really value, that uh, that quality and trust. So I'm doing all right, actually. There's no anything that's happened in my life that I can't control or I can't manage.
Lovely. Thank you. Beautiful, beautiful share. Thanks, Charlie.
Thanks,
Okay.
Nikki.
Tony, do you want to have a go? Okay. Thanks, Gwen. Tony, are you there? No? Okay. Well, I'll go. So physically, yeah, I could be a lot fitter than I am. I really don't spend a lot of time paying attention to my physical body. I try and walk every day, but that's also in and out. But physically, I could be doing a lot better. I also smoke way too much, so that's something that I really need to confront. Emotionally, I'm quite grounded. I'm with you, Charlie. I had such a chaotic life emotionally, and I mean, it just seems to be, I'm just in such a space where I can manage my emotions a lot better, and I'm not so chaotic and quite grounded in that way. Intellectually, I'm very challenged at the moment because I'm currently doing a training which is challenging me and stretching me. And I'm finding it quite difficult because it's not the learning environment that I'm used to. And again, Charlie, I can relate to you in terms of my learning abilities. I had a tragic traumatic school career, and I had the belief that I wasn't able to learn anything for years. And only when I met David was I able to kind of start really enjoying and appreciating and wanting to learn again. And I think that has a lot to do with the environments that I'm in, because if my environment is safe and supportive, then I don't feel like I get things wrong. It's very much an experiential process, and that's really my learning style. And this particular training that I'm in is quite hectic and very structured, and I'm quite challenged on that. But I love what I'm learning. It's and the tools that I'm learning, I'm just struggling to adapt to the environment that I'm learning in. I don't know if that makes sense to anybody. So intellectually, I'm challenged. Spiritually, I could be doing a lot more. I could be practicing a lot more in terms of my spiritual practices, like walking in nature, like time down, meditation, things like that. I really enjoy moments of silence. I think my spending time with my animals is a spiritual process for me. And even my work is actually very spiritually connected. So I am grounded, but I think I could do a lot more in terms of my own personal spiritual journey. And then socially, I'm a lot better than I used to be, although I still don't venture out. As David Wright knows. I'm very much a recluse, but the sun's out and it's summer in Cape Town, so I'm inspired to go to branch out and to venture out and have more conversations with friends. So that's where I'm at. Yeah. Tony, are you with us? Would you like to check in? You're muted.
Hello?
Hello, Tony.
There you go. There you go.
Can you hear us now? Can you hear us now, yeah?
Yes, we can hear you.
Just
Yes.
having a couple of technical glitches. I'm joined by Tom. Tom's here as well.
Hi, Tom.
Is it physical, emotional, spiritual, is it?
It's physical, intellectual, emotional, and spiritual, and social.
I'll just do a normal check-in if that's all right.
Sure.
I'll have it all in. So everything's going good. As I said earlier, we're coming up with our own structure to do the coaching in December, and how we're going to get about doing stuff like that. And everything's good. I'm starting to plan stuff in blocks of 8 hours. So, like, I'll have 8 hours me time, 8 hours sleep time, and then 8 hours work time. So, the magic number 8. That's about it, really. Keeping busy, keeping volunteering. I'm quite busy got a long week ahead. And that's about it. I'll let Tom check in.
Great. Hi, Tom.
Hello. I'm all right. Yeah,
Tom,
everything's good. I'm waiting to get started at a new job, which I'm looking forward to. At Project 6, and yeah, everything's all right. Thanks.
Fantastic. All right. Okay, so Where do you want to go today? What is on everybody's minds or hearts? This is a container where we can support each other, and this is all around the recovery coaching modality. So where would you like to go today for the next 45 minutes?
Somewhere hot and sunny.
Yeah, okay. Come down to Cape Town.
Yeah. It's up to
Yeah.
everybody else.
Yeah, can I ask? I think was it Nikki that mentioned silence, and I found silence extraordinarily difficult in my whole life, and I didn't appreciate silence or stillness until maybe last year. And so it's took me about a year of practicing my during meditation and even just to get me some sort of stillness and silence. And I was wondering what the container I'm in feels about I'm in silence. Because I would imagine that it's big, especially for people who have been through an addiction. How do others find their silence? Yeah, I thought I'd just throw that there, just especially in this busy world, when we were full of anxiety. Like even when I was driving over here, my anxiety was up to here, and I could only imagine what like the working and traffic and family and all this stuff. And the more that I've gotten to know how busy life is actually, because I didn't realise how busy life was because I was always in the madness, and and to appreciate like where do we take ourselves to find ourselves so that we can give ourselves that chance of that silence, that stillness, because for me it's been absolutely imperative. I'm still a long way to go because I'm a fidgety soul, but I'm aware that in the silence is where I find my golden moments. Just thought I'd throw that out.
I like what you said, Charlie. Yeah. If I may just kind of contribute my own experience of what I'm hearing you say is how silence can kind of serve me and how it can also at times overwhelm me. Recovery for me really has been about this. Carl Jung spoke about it, the process of individuation, coming to actually understand who I am. And when I am by myself, which, living by myself, doing a lot of things for the most part by myself, I get the opportunity to do that self-inquiry a lot more than I would if I was living with other people and my attention constantly being taken all over the place. So I see it as a real gift. And for me, I'm at the stage where I've become aware that my inner world, in terms of my thoughts, my dreams, my aspirations, what I want to bring about, and tapping into that authenticity and then showing that to the outer world, it's still incongruent. So there's still some lack of authenticity. And I mean, I'm 6.5 years in recovery. So this is what I'm finding. However, I try to the best of my ability now and going forward for the rest of my life to relish those moments of silence. I feel very privileged to be where I am. because I understand that a lot of people, the majority of people out there, are in these hamster wheels. And I know what that was like. It absolutely leveled me. And I'm glad I'm able to have this time to distance myself from it and to define my life on my terms, to bring something to contribute to the world that I think will be much better for the world, and to stay in my lane to the best of my ability while we do that. So yeah, those are just some thoughts that came up for me.
Thanks, David.
Yeah.
So there's two parts of silence here that I'm trying to figure out. The one is the silence within myself, and then the silence that I have in using it in the coaching as a coaching technique. So that's where I'm going. And the silence with myself, I'm with you, Charlie. I really battle. I battle to be still and to maintain some sort of, and I really have to work very hard to center myself in my own personal life. But as a coach, I very easily get into that mode where I'm within my role as a coach, and I use silence often as a way to build rapport and to create the safety within the container. But it wasn't always like that. For years, I battled to use silence in my coaching and use silence within the method. And I guess it was because of my own chaos that, my own internal chaos that I was having and that I was going through within my own process. But now I've kind of learned, I find the stillness and the silence within my role as a coach a lot easier than in my own personal life. I don't know if anybody can relate to that. And that's what came up for me when I was listening. I was thinking, there is and David, you spoke about incongruence around that. And that's also what came up for me. How come I can find it so easy in my role as a coach, but not easy in my personal life? I found that interesting. So that's something that I'm going to reflect on going forward. So thank you for that. Tony or Tom, would you like to add or share anything around silence with you?
Hello?
Oh,
There we go.
Sorry, I just took toilet.
No worries.
What were you saying?
We're just having a conversation around silence and
Okay.
how effective it is in the coaching space, but not only in the coaching space, but also in your life. And when you think of silence, I mean, have you used the technique before, or how is the silence for you?
Not necessarily. I use I think there's a difference between silence with people you're comfortable and awkward silence. I think awkward silence can be a bit off-putting, but obviously I use silence a lot at home, just to sit in silence and contemplate and reflect on my day, because recovery is quite full on and it's a 24-hour thing, so I use it a lot for relaxation, silence. But yeah, but I think on a one-to-one basis, if you can have that balance of silence together, I think it's kind of a good skill to have, isn't it? Managing it, and having a balance of silence, but sometimes it can be awkward. That's it. What about you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think silence isn't necessarily a bad thing. You know, it gives time to kind of process information and conversation and sort of think, reflect a little bit. Yeah.
So what is the awkwardness about that? What is the awkwardness about silence? That's what I'm curious about. Where does that come from? That uncomfortable, the awkwardness?
That's such a good question, Nikki.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? That's a really good
Such a good
question.
question because I relate to it.
I tried to get you on that awkward silence then, but it wasn't working.
Hey,
That's why I went silent for. That's why I went silent for a minute.
okay.
See if it actually proved my point.
Yeah. Okay.
I think it's the feeling the need to say something. I think if you're in
To
that
settle something.
I think it's the need to say something. So if it's like if you're in that coaching environment, and there's two of you, one of you's like, and none. I think one of you doesn't speak. It's almost like the other ones. You're thinking, "Oh, I need to speak here to cut that tension."
So what is that about?
I don't know. To be fair,
Let's go to David.
Well, two things come up for me personally. Knowing just how much of a chronic people pleaser I used to be. So when I started coaching and there was silence, I would get that feeling of discomfort. Oh, somebody needs to say something. And I would find myself maybe jumping in now and again in terms of kind of trying to rescue or to people please or to say something that would kind of alleviate tension, perceived tension for everyone else. But at the end of the day, it was actually my own. That's all I can know.
Yeah.
However, the other thing I wanted to say, oh man, it's totally slipped my mind. It was so good. It'll come back to me now. As coaching as I've progressed in these sorts of containers, it's a lot easier for me to kind of sit in silence and be okay with that. I'm still not as comfortable as I would like to be. And so then I ask myself the question, what is it then going on for me? Am I entirely comfortable in my skin? What do I need to do in terms of my own growth, my own narrative, in terms of what goes on in my head? What are the things that I need to do to keep pushing myself out of the comfort zone to kind of get more comfortable with me? And one answer to that is to actually get out of your comfort zone. So what I did last week, and this was based on you, Charlie, I felt inspired by you when you took a risk and you talked about that share and you went and you shared about silence and stillness. You took a risk. So I went on Thursday after my driving to the what's the place called? The restaurant chain is called, they sell hamburgers. It's in Muizenberg. It's on
McDonald's.
No, it's they have karaoke there.
we don't know. We're from England.
No, you wouldn't know. It's Hudson's.
Oh, yes. Okay, yeah.
And I went and I said, I'm going in there. I'm going to have something nice to eat, and I'm going to put my name on the list to sing karaoke. You know, get used to a microphone being in your hand, or just get used to being in a public place with people you've never met before. And I'm going to swear now and sing a fucking song. And I did. And These are the
Yeah,
things that I find I need to do
Yeah.
to get more comfortable with myself. It's a
Mm,
hell of a thing.
nice. Yeah.
If I could
Lovely.
just,
Well done. Gosh.
So thanks for the inspiration, Charlie.
oh, thank you, David. First of all, what I loved what you said there was you used the word chronic people pleaser. And I was like, and my heart nearly jumped out because and to use that word chronic actually is a fantastic word because I was a chronic people pleaser. So much so that I would say yes, and then I would go and I would scream in a pillow because I just could not say no. I could not say no, and honestly, even thinking about it now, it was chronic. And to some extent, I'm still a bit of a people pleaser, but I'm aware now, whereas previously I was unaware why I couldn't say no. I didn't know. I didn't know what a people pleaser was. I don't even think I'd heard those two words. And then to find out about people pleasing and all that stuff, I was like, that's what it is. That's what I've been doing my whole life. So and as David said, how do we try and gain our confidence back and our do you know that self-worth? Because every time I said yes, I lost a little bit of self-worth because I knew that I just wanted to say no, but I couldn't. And because I became aware of the people pleasing and everything else, I feel as if the last couple of years I've just gained a little bit of respect back for myself. I've gained a little bit of confidence back by I've just had a situation, if I can share this, where my
Mm.
daughter came back in my life after 13 years. I had lost contact with her when she was 3 because, I was a violent alcoholic and her mother took her away. She was, yeah, she was right. But I had blamed her mother. So about 6 months ago, no, about 4 months ago, my daughter got back in touch now with me and I was ever so pleased. It was like God was giving me all these gifts back. And within 2 weeks, my daughter started to ask to borrow money. Can I borrow £40? 2 days later, can I borrow £50? Another 2 days later, can I borrow this money? Can I borrow? So for about a month, I was giving her this money, and I knew halfway through this, I thought I need to stop. But again, my people pleasing just kept kicking in. I felt guilt, I felt shame, and every time. So she was using this for money and not for what I was wanting. Do you know? I just wanted my daughter back, but she's seen this as a resource. And she's 16, whatever else, So 3, 4 weeks ago, I had to say to her, no, I can't give you any more money. But that no took me days to say. And I said no to her. I said, I want to build a relationship with you, so it's father and daughter, and we get to know each other. I don't want to build it because at the minute it's just through money, me giving you money, and this doesn't feel right. She has been contacting me now for over a month. She has been contacting me now for over a month. But I'm fine with that because that no that I finally did, it was a massive no. And basically, I had showed her that I wasn't the bad guy man that I was all those many years ago. That's what it took from this. And when God puts it back in my life, when the time is right, the time will be right. But that people pleasing, I could easily slip into that just straight back into it. But I feel with recovery, it's, at least I'm aware, and it's still difficult. But I don't know if I would get up in a karaoke and sing a song yet. I don't. That's I'm only 2 years.
Sober.
I'm only 2 years. That's another 4.5 years of that stuff.
I'd I love what you said, Charlie. And if I may, I'd just like to make some other or share some other insights that I've had regarding myself. You know, this people pleasing, I ask myself, where did it originate from? And the multiple pathways that I've been fortunate enough to immerse myself in, you go back to one's childhood, ACA, and yeah, the sense of neglect that I felt, not being seen. And so then doing things and going out of my way to make things, to make everyone else okay, or to try to get noticed. I think there's something in that for me. And so I'm going to mesh the two, coming back to silence as well. You know, what I've learned about myself is that when I am in front of other people, even now on the screen, this being comfortable with oneself and centered is challenged to the degree where I will want to talk about something and I will forget, like I did the last time I spoke. There's something in terms of recalling information from my memory that gets blocked. And I believe that that could be as a result of the trauma that I went through in my life during my spiral to rock bottom. There's definitely been an impact in terms of recalling information in certain circumstances when I feel like I'm in a little bit of a spotlight or under pressure. That's what silence has helped me to realize about myself. But the people pleasing is another way to look at it for me, and what I've learned is that I'm abandoning myself. I'm putting the needs of other people before mine, which is not okay. And I've had to kind of unlearn that, and it's taking its time. I'm right in the middle of that now. I'm in circumstances where I'm constantly trying to make decisions about, you know, I need to look after myself. I can't keep working 6 days a week, 70 hours a week. You know, I need to, and to just kind of trust that if I do that and if I put myself first, things will just unroll and things will be okay. But I find myself in circumstances where that is being tested to the max, and it's not easy. It's not easy. So I'll watch this space. I'll let you know how it goes.
I mean, what comes up for me, and just bringing it back, and I'm glad that you linked the two there, David, with the people pleasing and the silence, because I was thinking, oh, well, we're going to change topics now because we were on the topic of silence, and then we kind of moved on to people pleasing. But you kind of linked the two, and I liked how you've sort of created that link in terms of the people pleasing and the silence. And I think that's a very relevant little connection there. It's like, why are we not able to sit in the silence? You know, because I feel the need that I have to connect or rescue or fix or whatever, and not be able to sit in my own uncomfort, you know. But coaching is really, we're thinking partners with our clients, you know. We partner up with our clients so that they can think about what's going to happen next. And if we don't create that space for them, then they will find it very difficult to actually access their deeper wisdom and their inner wisdom. And that demands silence. For somebody to access, even us, me personally, if I want to access my inner wisdom, I have to sit in silence in order for that to happen. I don't know if you can relate to that. Yeah. And that's the gift of silence. The gift of silence will the wisdom will surface, and the client will be, or myself will be able to come up with the necessary answer that is within me. And that's how powerful silence is. And like you say, in this chaotic world, it's not being used enough, just in general, and even in my own life, but definitely also in the coaching space, it's not being used enough. Also, though, what comes to mind is that it's got to be used effectively. And that is being able to really know when to practice the silence. And I think that's an intuitive thing. I don't think that's something that we can kind of plan. I think it just comes also from within, like, okay, and it's an organic, natural thing for me. I don't know if I'm making sense.
Yeah, there you go.
No, you absolutely are, and you're saying a lot. You're saying a lot. And maybe I can just come in and kind of add something. You said, I loved it when you said it demands silence. And so as a coach, I am not 100% serene the whole time. And now I've got a client or I've got a container with more people that are coming in. My life might be upside down, and I've got to come into the space and facilitate. And the silence, first and foremost, makes me become aware of just how bloody chaotic I'm feeling in my inner world. But my role asks me to, in that silence, just accept where I'm at and tune in to the other people. So I become aware, and it is a skill that I believe needs to be continuously practiced in order to kind of maintain any sort of level of mastery over it.
Totally. Yeah. No, it is definitely a master skill, that highly effective, but yeah, very difficult to do. What's coming up for you, Tony and Tom there?
I've just been saying to Tom, I think the people pleasing comes from our childhood. Trying to be that cool kid in school. And so I think it comes to learned behaviour again. And definitely the silence part as well. I think if you can be comfortable with your client, I think it's really good to practice that silent time. And even like if you're taking notes or something, and if you ask them permission to take notes and you take some notes, it gives that opportunity to document what's been going on in their lives and practice the silence as well. Anything you want to add, Tom?
Well, I don't think silence is necessarily a bad thing. But yeah, I agree with what Tony was saying. Yeah.
So yeah, I think people pleasing. If there's a good way to get around that is practice being assertive as well. And there's a good exercise called Power of No. Saying no. Practice saying no to people and taking that time for yourself, having balance in, because we're all in recovery, but it's about having balance in recovery and having balance for your own personal time, and yeah, don't wear yourself out. Yeah, that's about it, really. Don't know if you all agree. We're practicing that silence now, aren't we?
Yeah, if I may, I love what you said there, Romaniki, about that demanding silence. It's and that intuitively knowing that when you go into coaching, when to demand the silence. You know, I'm still not in my coaching career yet, but probably early next year I'll be getting into my coaching career. And I'll take loads man from that actually, that you demanding them in silence. And just going back to the people pleasing and that listening is well. There's something that links you together. Is David said, you know that I'm going back to childhood. And it's something I'm really, really interested in, that ages between 1 and 7. What happened in those years, where the person in 48 is still trying to learn like those years that my people pleasing in silence. And I think my question wasn't it, was like that awkward silence. How do we find it awkward? And when David was speaking, I can almost take that back to childhood. I can almost take that back to that deathly silence when my dad was getting out of bed and you didn't want to breathe in case you upset him or whatever it was, or that instant people pleasing, the where I just had to be a chameleon to everybody else, but not really knowing who I was. So that's just some still things that I'm learning, but coming onto these calls and meeting people like when you're in 3, it just opens the door for all this learning, and more so like learning about who we are as individuals. Now, like I have now got the chance I feel so grateful for, that I can go back and learn all this stuff. Whereas previously, the people who are still out there, they're just unaware. And I'm really, really grateful. So I just wanted to share that.
Thank you, Charlie. Great. Well, guys, it's 3 minutes to 1 o'clock. Yeah. And I'm just curious where we're going to go from here. I know generally we do another hour. I'm not sure how David does the last hour, but I'm going to open it up to the group and see where are we on the subject, and where do you want to take a 5 or 10 minute break? Do you want to come back and do some coaching practice?
I think normally we have an hour's coaching, don't we?
Okay.
And we normally do it here because there's 3 of us. Well, there's normally 4 of us, but there's 3 of us today.
Okay. Well, it's up to you. I'm going to leave it up to the container as a consensus on where you want to go with the next 45 minutes.
We'll do that then.
Okay. I'm going to have to log off. So, David, can I pass the baton on to you? Yeah.
Sure.
And
No problem.
then maybe you can do some coaching or continue on with the conversation.
I think my phone can only take an hour anyway because it's boiling hot now because of Zoom. My phone's like red hot at the back of it.
Is it just me and David then?
It sounds like it, yeah. I've got a session in 3 minutes. I've got to log off. But I can hand the baton over to you, and then David and Charlie, you can just continue on doing your coaching practice. And maybe practice some silence while you're at it, you know?
Yeah. I'm happy to do that. I'm happy to do that.
We're gonna have a 5 minute silence.
Yeah.
And see
fantastic.
See what tension it brings up. See if it brings up any tension, and then we're gonna do a bit of coaching as well.
All right,
fantastic. Sounds like a great idea. David, are you my host now? Yeah.
Yes, I am. Thanks, Nikki. Okay. Thanks so much for being here. I enjoyed the first hour. Really great.
Thank you.
Nikki. Bye, Nikki.
We'll see you soon, guys. Okay.
Ciao.
Bye.
David, are we okay to take 5 minutes? Just so I can go to the toilet and get
Absolutely. Let's come back at 3:05. 1:05.
All right, brother.
1:05 the hour. Great.
Well, David.
Hi.
Oh,
So you had a long drive.
yes. It's normally about 35 minutes from here, but because of traffic in the morning, it took an hour and a half.
Okay.
And,
Okay.
and then because the Middlesbrough was one way, I didn't know where this was, so the sat nav kept taking me around in circles.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, being a driver, you know what that's.
But well done. Well done. I'm so like you. I do not like being late. I try to the best of my ability to be punctual. It just doesn't sit well for me. But what I've also realized is that sometimes it's highly likely that I'm not going to be on time for the rest of my life. There will be times when I'm late, and really just to kind of own it and say, listen, I don't like being late, but this is beyond my control. So sorry that I've interrupted you, but I'm glad I'm here anyway. And that kind of just, you know what I mean? It's that kind of thing.
Yeah, it's that, and I kind of letting go, wasn't it? I was stuck in traffic and traffic's going nowhere. And I remember listening on YouTube to my chappies like, what can you do? Just let go, just I'm gonna let go. You're not going anywhere. And that's what I tried to do. I just tried to let go. I'm going to be late. It still doesn't sit well with me. I'm still trying to, but I am getting better. I am getting loads better, and I'm getting really good at if an emotion comes up like anger, like frustration, anger, and I go and I'll open the windows and I'll let it out because I would rather have it expressed out than just bubbling away in frustration and all of this stuff. And I've learned that the more that I can just let it out, open up the windows, then it's gone, and then thing in the windows, and I'm pretty good after that. It's a bit like a decompression.
Not to let the stuff
Yeah.
continue to stay in one's being, just to kind of
Yeah,
get it out in a way that's
yeah.
not destructive to anybody, but just to get it out. It's amazing.
Yeah. I learnt that I had a spiritual teacher for about a year who is like Reiki and Kundalini and crystals and all that stuff. And she taught me quite a lot actually. And it was actually her that said to me, instead of letting it go, just let it out. And I found that extraordinarily helpful. That because what I've realised in my life is like, so if I'm in the car and that frustration builds and then something else comes in and that builds and then it may be something else that comes and builds and then before I know it, I'm at combustion. For me, because it's not the big overripe hand, it's a little drips. So the more that I can just decompress, I can then go on to the next thing. And that's, yeah, and I can intuitively do that man now. Just like when I did in the car there, I was like, I'm so frustrated. And I went, and I just opened up the windows. And that's like letting the energy out, that bad vibe out. Just and let it go, decompress and let it go. And I was like, that's amazing.
Yeah, geez, it's amazing. I must actually think about doing that more often. I've had the privilege of having a really wise man come into my life at the beginning of this year. He's 80 years old. His name is Joel. He lives close by because I helped him move in to the neighborhood where I stay. And one of the very first tasks he kind of gave me was to go and get, with respect to my own family members, to draw their faces on a piece of paper and to go somewhere private in the woods and take out all of my pent up rage, fury on these bloody faces that were family members of mine. And so, yeah, you saying that, I go straight back to that. That's exactly what that was about. Because I just, for some reason, just kind of sat back and something within me never wanted to absolutely lose my shit. I think at some level,
Yeah.
I'm afraid that if I did lose my shit, it would go and there would be very, very serious consequences. So maybe it's something within myself that never allowed me to go there. Listen, under the influence, I had 1 or 2 bar fights, but I mean, it took a lot of loss and a lot of trauma to get to that place. But so important to let it out. And now what I've learned from my friend, my mentor, is a very powerful breathing technique, which he's advised based on my first 2 experiences. He said, okay, we're going to keep it just to twice a month now. So I did one 2 days ago, and it's a specific technique. You got to go for like 35, 40 minutes doing this technique, and eventually something happens. And you're the first person I'm telling this to, because I haven't actually seen him since I did it. I ended up, my body started to kind of contort and twist, and it was a very, very similar reaction to something else I've done, which is trauma release therapy. And what I found myself doing was there was emotion. I was feeling the emotion and kind of crying a bit, but my body just went into this kind of natural, and I just went with it, just tensing up and releasing and tensing up and releasing, back muscles, arms, to the extent that, I could stay in one position and I could just feel my body trying to process all of the trauma, and it's getting stuff out. So yeah, it's amazing where life will take you sometimes. But yeah. Okay, listen, how would you like to best spend this next, well, maximum 50 minutes? We don't have to be that long. I don't know what your time is like. I'm committed until 2 o'clock, but if you need to go earlier, let me know.
No, I've come to help David Collins because he's in Middlesbrough,
Okay.
and so he's next door and taking the class. So
Okay.
I've got all the time and really.
Fantastic. Because I think the idea is to actually practice some
Yeah.
coaching. Now, I know that you said you wanted to start next year with your coaching in earnest.
Yeah.
So can I suggest that we have a coaching session, and I'll be the coach,
Yeah.
and you'll be my client who brings something to the session, as in the agenda. It's called the agenda. Okay.
I love that.
Okay, fantastic. So we'll do that. And just to remind you, I can't remember whether you're aware of this or not, but the coaching container, very simplistically, the coach needs to focus on 3 things. It's the check-in, it's the contract, and then it's the container.
Okay. Can I just write that down? Can I just
3
write that down?
C's. Yeah, 3 C's. Absolutely. Write it down. The check-in,
Yeah.
the contract,
Yeah.
and then creating the container.
Yeah.
Check-in, contract, container. That is the role of the coach.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
then the role of the client is to bring their issue to the container, which is called the agenda. So it's the agenda.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's
Action.
action, absolutely. And then accountability.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
This would be
So
really beneficial for me, actually. So thank you.
for sure. So I'm also grateful because I don't get to actually practice this a lot anyway, either. So it's good that I'm doing these and participating in these things, because with practice we get better and better, as we well know. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's 1:15. We don't have to go all the way until 2 o'clock. But shall we say 20? shall we say we'll have it, we're going to do it from a timing perspective. We'll do 20 minutes and then we'll do a 10-minute debrief about how it went in the 20 minutes and just share our observations of what happened. So 30 minutes from now, which is about 1:45. At 1:45, we'll look to finish up. Does that sound all right?
Sounds perfect, yeah. Perfect.
Okay, so let's start this process. Okay. I'm going to give you 1 minute to think about, do you have an agenda item that you want to bring, or do you want a little time to think about it?
No. I'm okay, man. I'm ready to go.
You ready to go? All right, fantastic. Okay. All right. Welcome, Charlie. So nice to see you again. Welcome to the container. As we know, the first thing we do is we check in. So let's do a check-in. I don't think we need to do a pies check-in. We did that earlier. So let's just do the normal check-in. How are you checking in right now?
I'm feeling very grateful to be here. Very grateful.
Great. And I am checking in, feeling a little bit apprehensive, some performance anxiety going on for me, actually. But I'm also grateful to be here. All right. So it's 1:15. We have a 20-minute coaching session. And then after that, we're going to debrief for 10 minutes to be finished up about 1:45. Okay. So what would you like to discuss as your agenda item today? What are you bringing today?
I am bringing childhood trauma. That's what I'd like to talk about.
Okay, wow. That's a big subject, and there's many facets to it. Fantastic. I'm happy that you've brought this. What specifically are you looking to talk about in order to achieve some sort of outcome?
It's a good question. I'm trying to get to know the child. At some level, I'm trying to get to know young Charles and the trauma that young Charles went through in his eyes. What was going through his eyes that's led to the life of being absolutely terrified. And I would just like to get to know young Charles a bit more.
Great. Great. So what I heard you say was the subject of today's session as an agenda item is you needing to figure out how to get to know young Charles in more depth.
Yeah.
Okay. Fantastic. Sure. Talk to me about how long you've had this need and what your current ideas are in terms of getting it met for yourself.
Early recovery. So I'm a couple of years now. I'm in drink in a substance abuse, and I would suppose it's been about a year and a half of being scared to touch it. Actually, being scared to touch it, but being willing to go there. I'm absolutely willing to go there. And I think the outcome that I'm looking for really is just to align the child with the adult. And that's kind of what I'm doing. It's not to give with my young child's a hard time, or it's just to align where both of us are. And, you know, just to go back and go, do you know what? You did all right. You did all right. Because by the young lad doing what he had to do, I always knew there was something ingrained deep inside of me that was busting to get out. There was a flower inside of me. I always knew there was a flower. And but the flower was terrified to seed. For the appraisals of my dad, the violence, my mum, upsetting the norm, that might get bad off my parents. So, yeah, it's just to align the adult with the child, and you know, and yeah, I think that makes sense. Does that make sense? Is that?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely makes sense. What I'm hearing you say is that it seems as if you had a really traumatic childhood based on the behavior of your caregivers, your father, your mother, and that environment that you grew up in has hindered your ability to know and express your true self.
Absolutely.
As an
Absolutely,
adult,
David.
as an
Yeah.
adult. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely, brother.
Okay. And
Um,
so I also heard you say you've had this need to go back to your childhood and properly process for yourself what was actually going on. And that need is began a year and a half ago, around when you started getting into recovery. You knew instinctively from then that you had to go back. This thing is rooted in your childhood. Did I hear you correctly?
yeah,
All right. Okay. All right. So what talk to me about one idea that you've had, that you may have had, in terms of being able to revisit your childhood and process it in a way that's beneficial to your recovery.
Um, I just know this. I mean, this is what I know for certainty. That the God that I call my higher power, my nature, the timing will be right for when it's right for myself to talk about what happened in my childhood. Because the timing hasn't been right until now. Until I met you last week. David, this is why I'm going to build this agenda now. So I don't think I know that the timing is right now that I can share this with someone who I feel will understand what I'm talking about. And so I've intuitively known that this was the time to talk about it. I feel that there's an understanding between the client and the coach.
Great. So what I'm hearing you say is that it's this particular environment, this coaching container, that's been your idea to start to unpack this thing for yourself within these containers.
Yeah.
So that's the idea that you've had. Well, let's do it in these coaching containers. All right. Okay. Fantastic. I'm absolutely. I feel honored to kind of be holding that space for you, Charlie. I know I can never know your experience, but I know what it feels like to have a wound. And I know what it feels like to have a wound that came about as a result of the dysfunction in my childhood. So I feel honored, and let's how do you see this playing out? I mean, okay, so the one way to kind of begin processing this is within these coaching containers. Do you think, or have you thought of any other avenues on top of these containers to pursue with respect to what we're talking
Yeah,
about?
well, a couple of years ago, I did some tapping exercises. There's a chap on you kind of tap on the forehead. I don't know if you've heard of this. And that
Emotional freedom technique.
emotional freedom and technique. I wasn't too sure about it, but it really worked at the time. And it was only 3 sessions. And the experience was really rewarding. We're just coaching. Oh, great. Cool. Oh. I'm just telling David off.
Right.
So, and I found it really emotionally upsetting, but emotionally rewarding. Even though it was hard, it was heavy going. But I felt as if I just touched the tip of the iceberg in those 3 sessions. And that's why and then I left it, and I've not went back since until now, actually.
How long ago was this?
4 or 5 years ago, maybe.
All right. And how long did you practice it for? A couple of weeks, a couple of months?
A couple of weeks, couple of weeks.
All right. What made you stop that?
Being an alcoholic and an addict, just fucking yeah.
I totally get it. No sense of going the healthy way to try and address some of this. I'm going to go the unhealthy way. I get it. I get it. I so get it. Okay. Would you consider that to be something to look at again?
I'm unsure if I would go on through the tapping and technique and that emotionally the thing that because I would like to try and do something else and I like the kind of coaching on it and just to see it because what I do know is I do know that it's a pleasure going back. It is a pleasure going back, even though I just touched the tip of the iceberg there. I do know that there's an absolute want to go back. There's a want to really just get to know my young Charles because he was terrified. He was absolutely terrified. He was starving, hungry. He was terrified. You know, he lived in an imaginary world because he couldn't cope with the world that he was in, that existed in for him. And so I've always given myself a really hard time as an adult. I've given that young lad a really hard time. And you know, and I've always said that if I spoke to others the way I've spoken to myself, then you know, they would throw away the key and lock me up. So I've given myself a beating throughout my life, and it all goes back to that I think that no understanding who my young lad was and how he was trying his best. He was trying his best for whatever situation he was trying. But you know, when when I got to like manage and you know, and I became this alpha male and the stuff, I would never look back. And if someone said to me, my ex-partner would say, "Well, don't you want to look at your childhood?" And I'd be like, "No, we look forward. We don't look back. I'm a man. We don't look back at that. We always look forward." And that's flipped in its head now. That's really, really flipped in its head where I know that the gold, I know that I can either have a cup of the ocean, just that you were talking about maybe the karaoke. You can either have a cup of this world or you can have the full world. And I strongly believe that by getting to know that child that you know, I do feel as if I'll be at the beginning of this authentic Charlie because and I think that's what the culmination of all this is. I'm trying to get to authentic Charlie. You know, it's only been a couple of years, and I'm kind of peeling back the layers to find out who this authentic Charlie is, because I do know that the authentic Charlie was lost. He was lost. He became part of the world because he had to be. And you know, and for years and years and years, David, I blamed my mum and dad, I blamed everybody. It was everybody's fault. I wanted to burn the world. I really wanted to burn the world up. And tear myself down as well. I had that much violence and anger and inside me. And this is why when I talk about like silence and meditation and the stuff like this, because it's what I'm actually trying to do is peel back the layers and get to this wholeness of who Charlie is, because he's such a soft creature in there. He's always been a soft creature, and really, I'm gonna flow that back into him and say, "You know what? You gave me this." You know.
So, wow, you've said a lot there, Charlie, and I'm getting some much better insight in terms of who the little Charlie was. What I'm hearing you say is I want to get to know little Charlie, but what I'm hearing you say is that you've got a really good understanding about little Charlie. He was terrified. He was hungry. He grew up in an environment that was absolutely overwhelming to the point where he would shut off. He became a chronic people pleaser. There was so much trauma that his level of hypervigilance was at 100% a lot of the time. This is what I'm hearing you say. And so my question to you is it more about, is your agenda more about trying to know little Charlie? Because I feel like you've got a good knowledge of little Charlie. Is it about your agenda about trying to get to know Charlie more? Or is it about how do I see Charlie in his fullness, and how does little Charlie need to heal?
Yeah.
So that's the question.
Yeah. I think, first of all, you used the word overwhelmed, which I loved when you said that. That wasn't a word I thought of. And you came and you said overwhelmed. And I think that word is beautiful that you used there, because that's what it was actually. Everything was overwhelming. My whole life, everything. I just felt overwhelmed by speech. I felt overwhelmed by life. I felt overwhelmed by chaos. I just felt overwhelmed. You know, I used that, the waves just kept crashing. Every day there was crashing, you know, and having to jump out windows because my dad was coming, my mum, and that was just, every day was just, so every day I was overwhelmed by emotion and grief, and everything was overwhelming. Christmas Day was overwhelming, you know, there was so much happening Christmas season. And I think that word is the word that I've been looking for. I was overwhelmed. And now when I think about it, the child shut down. The child literally went, shut down. You know, I'm not speaking. And when I do speak, it's not going to come out right because I'm fucking overwhelmed. Do you know? So I think that's what it was actually. I think, and actually, I think I can trace that overwhelming back through my teenage years up to, you know, everything was just overwhelming. I couldn't, and so much so that I refused to become an adult. I refused to become an adult. You know, I could become an adult with these, but anything else, I just refused. To today, you know, I can't even fuse a plug. I can't cook. I can't do all of this stuff, and that's not right. But I became overwhelmed by life, and that overwhelming, I think then went into codependency. So then I would go and I would get girlfriends and that to do everything your man for me. And so yeah, I think I think that's what it was actually. I
Absolutely.
think that's what it was.
Okay. Wow. Wow. And we are on 20 minutes.
Wow.
So we're going to have to close the session out now. I just want to say, I see you, and I feel, I'll say it again, honored to have you speak to me about this stuff that had an enormous impact on you as a person in this space. I really do. And may I ask one final question, and then we'll both check out. It's a simple question, and it has to do with helping you give some direction to yourself, and then helping me to understand the next time we have a session whether you held yourself accountable for the direction you gave yourself. So between now and the next time that we have a coaching session around this, Charlie's childhood and what went on and unpacking it all, and what could you do between now and our next session with respect to producing the outcome that you want for yourself? What's one thing you can do?
The one thing that I can do is acknowledge it, acknowledge where I am on it. And the end word that you used was the word I've been looking for my whole life. And I'm not just saying this because that overwhelming, that's exactly what it was, overwhelmed by life. That you know, that's exactly what it was. And
how does what does acknowledging look like to you exactly? Will that be done in,
so
yeah, explain what does it look like to you between now and our next session?
So I think acknowledging where we're at, is that what you're asking?
Not quite. I'm needing to understand there's an action that you need to set for yourself, some sort of action in order to come back and then tell me about how it went for you. So what you've said is I need to acknowledge that I had an enormously traumatic childhood. So I'm asking, what is that acknowledging it? What does that look like to you outside of the coaching container, not within the container?
Yeah, I think acknowledging it at the moment is just processing it. You know, I'm processing this coaching session that we've just had, where and what I've took for this coaching in the session. So the kind of knowledge in it is that, right, we've started a process here. We've opened this door now. Um, and it's now processing to walk in. And then what's that ever going to look like out on the side of here? Well, it's basically just carrying on the stuff that I am doing. I live quite a spiritual and trustworthy life. Where tomorrow I would take this on. I will take this on to the beach. That's exactly where I take this one sort of stuff. I will take this onto the beach, and what I do every day is when the wind's in my face, and I just give it to the beach, and I go, right, here it is. Here, you take this, and I do that every single day, and that is what it will do. And what that actually does is I acknowledge it in myself, and that woman, I say, when something comes up, I can let it go, and I normally do that in the beach and the sea. So that's what that process will look like tomorrow morning, actually, because that was big stuff there. So we'll go down to the beach tomorrow and go, yeah.
Fantastic. Okay, so what I've heard you say is that you are committing yourself to processing what we've talked about in this container and what you have learned about yourself in this container. You're going to process that for yourself using the daily rituals that you currently have in place. And we're going to then go from there. Is that right?
That's exactly it, David.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Great. And we're a little bit over time, but that's okay. Practice makes perfect.
Done well there. Wow.
Let's do the checkout. You go first. How are you checking out?
I just feel even more grateful now, actually, than what I did at the start of the call. I feel really grateful. I was really grateful that you brought that word overwhelmed. It just resonated straight away. So I'm feeling really grateful, and I'm feeling really grounded, if I'm honest with you. Really grounded.
Lovely.
Yeah, thanks.
Lovely. And I'm checking out feeling, I'm feeling humbled. I can't help but like kind of make comparisons, you know how it is. So I'm feeling humbled, you know, but I'm also feeling very grateful to be able to share the space with you in the role that I am. And I look forward to the next time we're able to do it. So thanks, Charlie.
You too, David. And you should be coaching more. You should be coaching more. That was fantastic, brother. Get coaching. Get coaching.
Right. Okay. So there it is. There's the container over. Okay. So we said we're going to give 10 minutes to just debriefing on what went well. The way I like to do a debrief is what was good, what went well, what would have been even better if. So do you want to go first?
Yeah.
In terms of feedback to me, the coach, what do you think I did well, and what do you think that what I could improve upon?
I think definitely, well, you listened to what I was saying, and you would then come back and you would say, this is what I've heard, this is what I'm hearing, I think was your words. And then you kind of summarize what I had said, like, and I know that can be hard, especially when someone's talking for a long time and you're trying to remember, this is what I heard, and I'm trying to summarize it. But I thought you picked your questions very carefully, and you really kept me talking. You never kept me talking, but there was depth to the questions that kept me talking. you know, real depth in that, where I had to kind of go, oh, wow, right. Do you know, like, I was expecting that sort of question. That's really took me back there. That's a real question. Um, I thought that somebody did one really, really well, and I really enjoyed this coaching in my session. I really enjoyed it. I can't really pick up what you did wrong, if I'm honest. I'm with you. There isn't any critique that I would say. I just enjoyed the process, and David, if I'm honest with you, and I enjoyed that there was. I love it when I feel at ease, you know, like, you know, because when I get up there, I start to stammer and stuff, and you probably notice I was really put at ease that made me easily go back to where I wanted to go back to. So I found that really cathartic. I found that really rewarding, actually, especially for someone who has a stammer, to have that at ease. So there's no critique. I don't know what you could have done better, because I really enjoyed it. I think that's what I would say.
Fantastic. Okay, great. Okay, so I'm going to give myself a critique exactly like I asked you to do. So, in terms of my role as the coach, sorry, just give me a moment. So, I did the check-in. We had the check-in. We both checked in. Did the contract. I explained up front that we were going to go for 20 minutes and then that we would do a 10-minute debrief after the fact. And then I held the container. I created the container by, to the best of my ability, inviting you to bring the agenda of what you wanted to talk about. And at a high level, it was about needing to begin addressing your childhood trauma. As the coach, I sit in the space, and what I'm really doing is I'm listening through your talking. I'm listening to the best of my ability at level 3, and I'm listening for needs and wants and values. And so from what you revealed today in the container, I've got a much better idea about what are your needs with respect to the agenda item. And I'm starting to build a picture of the types of values that you hold dear. And it's not my role here to tell you what those are. We don't need to go there. But as the coach, that's what I'm trying to do. What I did was I asked you what you wanted to bring to the container, and you said, I want to talk about, coming to terms with my childhood. And what I indicated, that's very broad. What we learn in coaching is that we can have an agenda for a specific coaching session like we've had right now, but we can also have an agenda for an entire coaching series. And what I believe you and I did today was that we created an agenda for a series of sessions. And it's about you needing to basically speak about and process your childhood in order to come to terms with it, and in order to bring the beautiful aspects of Charlie, the little boy, into his adult self. Right? Yeah. Okay. So that was your need. That was your need. Sure, and you need to just give me some time here, because I haven't got like hundreds and hundreds of coaching hours behind me. So I'm doing my best. what I tried to do was to get you to commit to some sort of action that you were prepared to carry out so that you could then give me feedback in the next container. So I'm holding you accountable to something.
Right. Okay.
And I think we achieved that successfully. I think we achieved that successfully. And then I brought the container to the end. I admitted we had gone a little bit over time, but that was okay. And I facilitated the checkout. You checked out and I checked out, and that was it. Phew. So I think what I maybe could have done better is to have possibly asked some different questions or the same questions in a different way to really get an idea about the agenda for the session. I believe we've come up with an agenda item for a series of coaching sessions, and it has to do about ultimately the word I think is coming to terms with your childhood in the best possible way. And so as we move forward, that agenda is still quite broad, coming to terms with that's broad. And I think as we go forward, me as the coach, I could do well to try and ask the questions to get you to really be specific about you coming up with the answers for yourself around that. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Fantastic.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
How was that debrief? Was that okay?
That was really good. Yeah. I think you debriefed yourself well.
So agenda, you brought the agenda item. Yeah, I asked questions to try and get more specific or more clarity for myself. You committed to an action item. You're going to begin to start this process of coming to terms with your childhood. And as we go forward, and you're going to give me feedback on that, that's based on your daily habits. And as we go forward, we're going to get more specific about what coming to your terms with your childhood actually means for you. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to just write this note down here.
Wow. Oh, I was expecting that this morning. Let me assure you.
Sorry, say that again.
I wasn't expecting this morning.
Yeah, it's amazing, eh?
Beautiful. It's beautiful, brother. Beautiful.
Oh, it is. It's lovely. Okay, great. We can get on with it. I'm going to get in my car now and I'm going to try and make some money so I can pay my bills, which are bouncing left, right, and center. But that's okay. This has been wonderful. And thanks, Charlie. Thanks for.
Yeah, and thank you. And please take some time and thank you for that, my brother. I really appreciated that from the bottom of my heart. I really did. And thank you, David.
Great. Have a lovely day and we'll see you soon.